We are here.
Woo!
Back. The Auto Authorities Podcast is live and in effect. What is going on, Mr. David Marks?
Oh, just busy, man. How about yourself?
I am just doing incredible. And I am very, very, very excited to talk about what we've got going on today. We have got a lot of people coming to my company right now, wanting $1 million for their car.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, me too. I've been coming to you telling you I want $1 million for my car. You keep telling me no.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give you a little hint. We're going to talk about a lot of things today, but my first hint is do not believe what you read, because when you read it, it's already too late. And I'll tell you, that's my hint for everybody right now. Because I'll tell you, I get so frustrated with the media. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. Why are used car prices going through the roof, or are they? So I wanted to before we get going here, I wanted to thank our sponsor, Techie Tony with Techie Tony Media. He's the one that makes this beautiful stuff happen. If you want to start your own podcast, simply send him a message at start@techieTonymedia.com, and he will offer a free 15-minute consultation to make a beautiful podcast just like this. I am so freaking excited, as I always am. I can't tell you any time when I haven't been excited, but we are going to share some very, very valuable information today. Are you ready to do this, Mr. David Marks?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Have you ever felt like you were taken for a ride when buying, selling, or repairing your car? Well, not anymore. I'm Jay.
And I'm Dave.
And this is the podcast that tells you what to watch out for, whether you're buying, selling,
or repairing your car.
With 47 years of automotive experience, we are the Automotive Authorities. This podcast is sponsored by AutoAuthorities. We're real estate agents for cars.
And Quality Auto STL. Trusted services with no surprises.
Boom! Booyah! Back. So I'm going to start this off with a story. But before I start with the story, I want everybody to like and subscribe and share our wonderful podcast with all your friends and family. Because here's my story. I was actually at a restaurant. One of my clients noticed us, and as you may know, iAutoAgent.com is we're real estate agents for cars. And he noticed me sitting there, and he had a 2019 Mustang GT. It only had like 7,000 miles on it. And he said, "Hey, Jay, I think I could actually sell this vehicle for thousands more than what I paid for it in 2019. And I said, tell me about it. So obviously I was very suspicious when he told me what he thought he could do. Now, granted, I will say this, and we're going to learn a little bit more about this as we go, but prices have been really, really high. But he thought, okay, so he paid $44,000. Well, the MSRP for this Mustang GT was $44,000. He came to me and he says, "I think I can get $50,000 for my car." And I said, "How are you going to get $50,000 for your car?" He says, "The prices are crazy." And I said, okay. So we looked into valuing his car, and granted, it was probably a $41,000 to $42,000 car. And keep in mind, the MSRP was $44,000 in 2019. And what frustrates me more than ever is our wonderful media is they have articles everywhere saying used car prices are through the roof. They're through the roof. No, they're not. They are not through the roof.
No.
And I want to talk a little bit about, Dave, as far as the chip shortage goes. how this is affected and why we all are sitting here today. And we don't know whether the prices are going up, whether they're going down. But as we get into this podcast today, Mr. David Marks and I are going to give you some really good golden nuggets, some things that are insider information that the average public does not know. But let's just get into it, because when I told him $41,000 to $42,000, he started sending me. There were 2 dealer listings in other parts of the country that 2 dealers wanted $50,000 for this car. Everybody else, all the other dealers, were at $45,000 and $46,000. And let's face it, the dealer's going to want to make their $5,000 profit if they can, maybe $6,000. It depends on the car. So it's not uncommon to get 41 to 42, and they're going to go out and sell it for 46, 47. So when we valued it for 41 to 42, they're like, oh, no way I can take that. What do you mean? That's $2,000 less than what you had. That cost $2,000 to drive the car. And plus you didn't even pay MSRP for a car last year.
No.
So if everybody's listening, your car is not worth $1 million. That's
damn it. Damn it, Jay.
Huh?
Damn it, Jay.
Yeah, let me tell you why your car is not worth $1 million right now. Let's start with the chip shortage. What happened in the chip shortage, Mr. David Marks? What did it do to dealers?
Oh, it just squeezed them. They couldn't sell nothing because the factory shut down. And
right. And dealers depend on trade-ins. And when the trade-ins aren't coming in, it squeezes them, and it causes the supply shortage. So what happens is everybody goes for that same car. Typically, if the dealer cannot get a trade-in, they're going to go to the auction. But they don't want to go to the auction because the auction is very expensive, as well as there's a lot of fees that have to be paid at the auction. And that adds to the expenses. But here's another wild card. Can anybody guess what the other reason is?
The rental car companies.
Well, you cheated. So the rental car companies,
You're damn right.
They depend on the new car dealers to buy their cars for their fleet. And what they do is they buy it directly from the manufacturer, from the dealer, and they get preferred pricing. So when Enterprise and the big rental car companies go out there and they spend all this money on all these new cars, then they turn those cars and they make lots of money on those cars. But when the cars are not available and you go by these lots and you don't see these new cars, the rental car companies have to go to the same place that everybody else is, and that is the dealer. I'm sorry, that is the auctions.
The auction. Yeah, because then the dealers are not dealers, but the rental car companies, they sold off a lot of their stuff because nobody was renting cars during COVID, so they needed cash to stay afloat. So they sold a lot of their fleets, correct?
Well, sure. And the rental car companies are always turning over vehicles about once a year because, so I have some inside information of somebody that worked at this company, and I won't say the name, but it's a big company. It starts with an E. And he was a top executive, and he told me how the dealers are supplying the cars to the rental car companies, and then the rental companies are turning around a year later and they're making money on all these cars. It's amazing. They're not only making money on the rental, but they're making money on the profit side. And when all of that goes poof, and there's no more cars, well, now we've got a problem. And that is what I'm talking about today. When you look online and it says used car prices are through the roof, throw it out the window, that's old news. That was true about a month ago. And now prices are starting to drop. And I talk about this thing called supply and demand. And what supply and demand is when the supply is low and the demand is high, which it has been, prices go up. When the supply is greater and demand is low, prices go down. So I'm going to give some golden nuggets to you guys today, because we're going to talk about, me and David Marks, we're going to talk about how the curve works in the buying market. Dave, I'm going to let you chime in. And what is it like in your business? Because you're selling lesser expensive cars.
Sure.
And we're selling not necessarily more expensive, but your sweet spot's what price range?
It's that 3 to 6 range.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the next level up above that.
Right. We're averaging about $15,000 to $16,000 is our average price range.
Sure.
What's it looking like on your side, Dave?
I mean, it's fine. I mean, that's why I like the 3 to 6. It's everything proof. I mean, it doesn't matter if the market's good. It doesn't matter if the market's high. And, because I'm selling through a repair business also attached to that, that adds, value, because I'm selling $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 cars with 30-day guarantees. I don't care what Kelly Blue Book says. I want this, take it or leave it.
And what you said is perfect, because the high demand cars are the $3,000 to $6,000 cars. I get calls 15 times a week looking for those cars for your son or daughter. So those cars are not affected by this. It keeps more even keel, and it will always be roughly the same because those cars have already depreciated, right?
Yeah.
But let me tell you the cars that are affected, and I'm going to use the Mustang as an example. That Mustang is greatly affected because this is a $40,000 car. And the more you spend on a car, the more you will lose. And so the way that the curve works is very, very simple. And it's the same way every single year. So if you want to learn how to time the market and buy at the very, very best time, I'm going to tell you how right now. Yes, I'm going to release an insider secret. Out of almost 26 years of me doing this now, it's predictable every single year. Let's start in January. The market starts creeping up a little bit, right? February creeps up a little bit more. March creeps up a little bit more. April is what we call the start of selling season.
Yeah.
April 1st is the start of selling season. And in that time, too, you've got some tax time where Mr. David Marks is selling lots of cars because people are getting their tax money and they're going and buying lesser expensive cars because that's what they have for cash.
Yep, that or they give me their tax receipts that fix my car. I get it both ways.
Keep following me, everybody, if you're listening. So then we're in April. May, it creeps up. June, it really is getting towards the peak. Typically, July is around the peak. Now, August, it drops a teeny bit. And why is that? Does anybody know? You can make comments. If you're listening, you can make comments on this right now. Does everybody know why August it starts to drop? I'll tell you.
I do.
What is it, Dave?
The kids go back to school.
Oh! Congratulations.
Do I get a gold star?
Well, I think that you had a little bit of an inside information.
Oh, darn.
So when the kids go back to school, the parents are distracted. And when parents are distracted, we do have a comment.
Students return to school.
Yes, Taylor Brown responded here. One of our listeners. Students go back to school, and that's when the demand starts going down a little bit. And in September, sometimes it actually stays around the same, right around that time, and sometimes it will peak a little bit in September because all the people that didn't buy in August, September. But then October, it drops. In November, it drops again pretty hard. And in December, we bottom out. And why is that? Does anybody know? Leave your comments below. Share this. The reason why is because what do we all do in October? What do we all do in November? Let's say November. What do we do in November?
You eat. You get fat.
We eat turkey. Thanksgiving. Thank you, Taylor Brown. Boy, We have one of our listeners right now that's really on this. So what do we do in December? We have holiday time, Christmas,
I keep eating.
Hanukkah, all the wonderful things, Kwanzaa. Everybody is distracted. Plus, people are spending so much money on presents, and they're not usually buying cars. They're not buying cars, for presents. So if you want to really time the market and you want to buy, that's when you buy. When you want to sell, I'm just going to give myself a shameless plug right now. You simply go to iAutoAgent.com. That is I like integrity, autoagent.com. And you fill out the sell a car form, because right now we have a small window still that you can get in and still get, good money for your car. If not, when we get into December, it's a tough time.
Our buddy Taylor's got another comment.
What did he say?
Because January, you got credit bills arrive after everybody gets their credit card bill in January.
And also in Missouri, you have personal property tax.
Yeah, I get people. I'll come back January 1st and buy that car because they don't want to pay property tax.
Because then they don't have to pay it till the following year.
Yeah.
So that's how the curve works. And if you're listening, boy, did you get yourself a really good lesson, because only insider people know this when it comes to the car industry. It's predictable every single year. So Dave, I want you to explain to our audience what MMR is, how it works, and give us that Ford Fusion story that you're going to love this. If you're listening, open up your ears.
Yeah. So MMR, it stands for Manheim Marketing Report. Manheim is the nation's largest dealer wholesale auction company. They own the market. And when you see MMR, that's how Manheim says the average wholesale price is through their auctions, and that's a national average. It's not a regional. So I bought a 13 Ford Fusion off a customer that had 14,000 miles on it, and I looked up at MMR, and MMR was like close to 15 grand. I paid 11.5. I'm thinking, sweet, I'm gonna go to Manheim, make $4,000. I have to do a damn thing. Well, wrong answer. Because by that time it was already too late and the market was going down, and it didn't bring what I thought it would. So, for anybody out there listening, we got to take MMR and along with Kelley Blue Book as a grain of salt. They're too late.
Yeah,
that's too late, and that's a perfectly good. I'm going to make money. I'll be all right, but that's a perfectly good example of how I was a month behind.
Yes, and this is a really good piece. The dealers, when they're looking at your car, they're going to give you what you call MMR, and that is basically auction prices, and some of them pay under auction prices, depending on which dealer you go to. And that's why when you look at your car online after the dealer values your vehicle, depending on what car it is, but on an average about $5,000 more. If they're going to pay 10, they're going to sell it for 14,997, or at least they're going to try. And so when you look at that, that can help make a prediction as far as, because the MMR is kind of like the stock market. It's the S&P 500. It's basically that every dealer uses that we don't use Kelley Blue Book. Throw that out the window, by the way. Just burn it, because it is too late. And MMR keeps up on a daily basis. I can look daily and tell what the prices are doing on cars. I can predict it based on current and past data. So Dave, that's a really interesting story, and I'm glad that you shared that with the Ford Fusion, because even Dave, a professional in this, obviously Dave is in the business to make a profit, and now he may not even make a profit on this car.
Yeah, I got a Ford Fusion for sale. Anybody want to buy it?
Right. So
$1 million for it, Jay.
So let's talk about why prices now are going down. Here's what's happening at the dealerships. If you notice, there's still empty lots. I get that. But again, insider information, dealers are selling cars like crazy right now. but they're not selling cars necessarily that are on their lot. They're selling cars before they hit the lot. And when they sell those cars, they're also getting trade-ins. And when the dealers get the trade-ins, that's how they survive. And they don't have to go to the Manheim auctions and pay those exorbitant fees. They don't have to do that. They can get their cars from the trade-ins, and that's what they want to do. So the more cars the dealer sells, and I'm talking about new cars, used cars too, but mostly new cars, the more trade-ins they get. Therefore, now the supply is replenishing, okay? And that is what I'm really trying to convey to you today, is that the market is going back to about normal, okay? And we're gonna see the chip shortage still affect us, but it's going to level off a little bit because of the demand for the cars. So right now, the dealers can't keep up with the demand, and the manufacturers can't keep up producing cars and fast enough. So they're limiting the dealers on the allocation that they can get for their lots. So here's the market forecast, and this is on my side, and I'll let David tell you on his side. The market forecast on my side is you need to, like, if you're looking to sell a car, you better do it now, because the party's over. Everybody's going home, and the bus is leaving. So it would be a good time to sell. And granted, it's not a terrible time to buy a used car right now, as much as it was before. I would still say new cars, they're gradually starting to get there, but they're still going for big money. And it's usually sticker price or above sticker price if you're going to buy a new car. So I would love to talk to anybody that wants to sell a car, and simply go to another shameless plug, iAutoAgent.com. That's iAutoAgent.com, and click sell. And I'm going to let Mr. David Marks take over from here. What's going on in your end, Dave, as far as, lower price cars? What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, it's going to stay. It is what it is. I'm like you. I get people that ask me, hey, do you have this for your daughter, or I need this for my son, this for my daughter. I get, like you, the 3 to 6 is the sweet spot, and it's market proof. It doesn't matter, what the market is doing. Those cars are what they are. I mean, and they're a niche, and there's a specific buyer that's looking for them. And again, me being in the repair business, having the Google ratings, I'm a highly rated seller in marketplace, and all that just adds more value. People feel comfortable. They may pay another $500 to $1,000 from me, but they get that trust. If something happens, the first 30 days, we fix it, we'll take care of them, and all that. So no, I don't see that changing a bit.
I'm going to use the analogy, with the lesser expensive cars is kind of like the house market. The house market in the Midwest is very steady compared to the coast, because it's just different on the coast, and it's different with supply and demand, and it's always more volatile on the coast. So when Dave's talking about the $3,000 to $6,000 cars, that is so true, that everybody's always going to want a $3,000 to $6,000 car, and it's not going to matter whether we're in summer or we're in winter.
Or a recession, the economy's tanked. No, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, because people still need cars. So, so that was amazing. So real quick, I wanted to just give a quick shout out one more time to Techie Tony with Techie Tony Media. If you want to start a podcast like this one, and you want a free 15-minute consultation, he is going to do that for you. The guy's amazing. He's done a really, really good job for us. And just simply send him a message at start@techieTonyMedia.com, and he'll get you set up on your podcast. We have another comment from Taylor Brown. He said he sold a 2001 Ford Escape. We'll post this right up there so everybody can kind of see it. 2001 Ford Escape, received $1,000 over asking price, same as buying. I bought a 14 Escape and agreed to only 500 under asking. I feel I got a good deal with both. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just right. It's very predictable, and I think that out of all what we've shared today, this market is predictable. It's the same way every year. It'll have little hits and misses depending on the time, but it's predictable. And hopefully everybody got some great golden nuggets here. Dave, do you have any other comments before we sign off?
Yeah. No, I mean, not really. I mean, no, I can't. I'm speechless for once.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you this. I thank everybody for your support of this podcast. This has been just amazing how many people have flocked to this podcast. And it makes me feel so good and fulfilled that we're helping the public understand this crazy automotive industry. And like we said, raw and uncut. We don't edit this. This is raw and uncut. This is not rehearsed. This is real information. This is not the BS that you go online and look up and Kelly Blue Book and the BS, whatever, don't get me started. I just want to thank everybody to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you to all our loyal listeners. And Dave, if you don't have anything else, I will see you at the next podcast.
Absolutely.
You guys have a good one. Have a good one.